Hi guys! For today's video, this is going to be part 2 of my favourite brushes. So this is going to be the eye sets. Now, this wasn't actually due to go up for like another couple of weeks, but we had a few people asking about it, so I've bumped it up. I've bumped it up because your wish is my command. So yes, I'm going to be going through my favourite eye brushes. There's all your well-known favourites, Peaches and Cream, Sigma, Morphe, all that good stuff. So if that sounds like something that you'll be interested in, then just stay tuned. So I think I'm going to kick off with like my smaller, more finer detailed brushes first, which I use for like my more intricate looks and things like that. The ones that you see like on my Instagram. If you don't follow me, please do. So first up for my teeny tiny brushes is the PC47 Peaches and Cream brush, and all this is a really tiny fluffy brush. It's amazing for blending out edges but in a really controlled space. So say if I was doing a look where I had numerous sort of blends going up or across or anything, these brushes are really handy for blending everything out, but it being controlled and really having precision over where that blend goes. Next up is another Peaches and Cream brush. It's the PC38 brush, and that again is like, it's very similar to the brush before, but it's shorter. The bristles are smaller, therefore it's just that a little bit denser. And this is really good for like packing on my shadows in a really controlled way. Like if I'm really trying to get, oh, I just put myself in the eye. If I'm really trying to pack on a shadow in a very controlled, focused space on my lid, then yeah, this is the one that I'll go to. And then the last Peaches and Cream brush that is like on the smaller scale is this one, which is the PC39 brush, and this is kind of a little bit like a hybrid of the first two. So it's short and denser like that second one, but it's quite fluffy like the first one. So it's really good for, again, blending out shadows. This is kind of like a multi-purpose one. I can use this to pack, I can use this to blend. It's, as I say, it's like a hybrid of the first two brushes. It's a really good all-rounder, so if you don't feel like having to buy two, you can always buy the one. Next up is a brand I'm sure we're all familiar with for really detailed looks, and that is the Plouise Brushes. I have two here that are my absolute faves. So the first one is the Plouise 143 brush. Again, it's good for packing, it's good for blending. I think it is primarily for blending, but it's that really controlled, small scale brush. Very much like the Peaches and Cream ones. I just need a few of them I just need a few of small brushes that kind of do the same thing, because when I've got a rainbow eye going on, I need pretty much at least 3 colours in there, so I need at least 3 brushes to be able to pack and blend. And then the other one is the Plouise 124 brush. It's very similar to the one before, except it's just a little bit denser. It has a few more hairs in there, so it's very good for packing. If you use a light hand with it, again, it can be used for blending. And all these brushes that I mentioned are fantastic quality. I've had them for years, sort of thing. They've always stayed at the same quality. They've always been fantastic for my eyeshadows. Even though I've had them for years, the quality is still there. So they are an investment in your brushes, really. So brushes like these are hard to come by. So once I find the ones that I like, I kind of stick with them. A slightly newer one for me on the brush hype, the Mima Mitchell MC2 brush, which is a very fluffy, small blending brush. Now this is probably the fluffy, well, this and the next brush is probably the fluffiest, less dense blending brushes that I have, but this means it's absolutely fantastic for getting those real outer edges and making sure that everything is blended out perfectly. There's no harsh edges. So this is kind of what I go in for at the end, to make sure that the shadows are blended in really well to my skin, to the next colour, to anything really. This is the blender brush. And then for the last sort of small scale brush, this is the Sigma E36 blending brush. It's very much like the last brush, the Mitchell one, as you can see. It's just slightly more compact, still fluffy, still fantastic at blending those edges. It very much does the same thing as the Mitchell one. I just need a few of them. And Sigma brushes are absolutely fantastic. Sigma products are fantastic, but their brushes will last years. They seem to have a brush for everything, so if you haven't got a hold of it, I would. So moving on to my more sort of like medium brushes. They're still quite small, but they're not as small as the last ones. First up, I've got the PC22 blending brush, and that is kind of, it's like a fluffy sort of bullet brush. Again, for packing, absolutely fantastic, but because it is so fluffy and the hairs are such brilliant quality, with a light hand you can use it to blend as well. This is really, really good for getting in the crease, for stamping out your crease and then blending the edges out. It's just, I just have a range of brush sizes. I have a small one that does that job, I have a slightly bigger one that does that job, and then I have a bigger one that does that job. So yeah, fantastic for blending out shadows, fantastic for packing, no complaints. Next up, the PC37 brush. Very, very similar to the last one. It's just slightly larger and slightly denser, and I mean slightly. So it is more of like a packer sort of thing, a pack and blend. It will give that really, really good colour payoff because it is so dense. Next up, we have the Sigma E42 Precision Firm Blender. I've just realised you've probably seen a lot of these brushes on my channel already. I normally do tell you what brushes I'm using. I might not anymore because you should really have watched this video, so you should know. You should be able to see that greeny yellow brush and think, wow, that's a Mitchell MC2 brush. But yes, this is a precision firm blender, and it kind of does what it says on the tin. It is firm but not too firm. It is small enough for precision. It's firm in the way that you can pack on your colour, but again, it's because it is slightly, ever so slightly tapered, using a light hand, blends as well. And then the last up for like the mediums is the Sigma E33 Detail Diffused Crease Brush, and I would like to say it's kind of very similar again to the last one. It's longer hairs, so it is less dense. This is more of a blender than a packer. This is what I would go in with to blend out those outer corners, to blend into other colours, things like that. So I don't do a lot of packing with this or primarily putting on the colour first. This is just very much a outer edge job or blown out. So now for the bigger brushes, and this is the sort of thing that I would use for like soft glam, for slightly more blown out looks, if I don't want to be precise or detailed, if I'm just looking for that really, really perfect blend. So first up we have the PC10 brush from Peaches and Cream. Really, really good quality, slightly tapered, nice and fluffy, so it has that fantastic blend, but it's fluffy enough to pick up a hell of a lot of product. So next, I just want to show you these two brushes like side by side, because to me they look like the same brush, and in fact they're not. So one is the Morphe M433 brush, and the other is the Suiva 227 Luxe Soft Definer brush. And again, they kind of do the same thing. I need two of the same brushes basically. These are sort of used for those soft glam looks where everything needs to blend perfectly. You can use them to press on your shadows first, blend out the corners. They're lovely and fluffy, as you can see. They're nice and malleable sort of thing, so that the shadows blend perfectly into your skin. Then we have the Morphe M505 brush. Very similar to the last brushes, but this one's slightly longer and more tapered with that round sort of quality, whereas the other ones are a tiny bit like flatter. This is brilliant for blending, for going in and packing on a lot in the crease. Anything that doesn't require detail, I tend to use a medium or one of my larger brushes. So yeah, just a good all-rounder, kind of a staple that you need. You need these sorts. If you want to do any sort of soft glam, you need these sort of brushes that are fluffy but slightly firm, tapered. You need that. So very similar to the last one. Again, the Morphe M441 brush, and it's slightly longer are the bristles. It's not as tapered and to a point, so it's fantastic for blending. The blends on these are fantastic, and for blowing out, you just can't ask for more in a brush. And then the last up for my big brushes is the Morphe Y16 brush. This is my biggest brush. It's nice and fluffy, it's nice and malleable, it's not dense, there's no tapered edge to it, it's just sort of like flat here, so it's absolutely fantastic for going in and blending out those colours, blending out those edges, blending the colours that you've blown out into the skin. Fab. So last up, I thought I would go and show you the brushes that are like I only use for a very specific purpose. So this is the Peaches and Cream PC35 brush. This is what I use for pigments and glitter. I don't know what it is about this brush that makes it so fantastic for pigments and glitter, but it just is. I can use my NYX glitter glue, I can use the Peaches and Cream glitter base. I go on with the base with this brush, pat it on straight into the pigment or the glitter, straight on, and it's absolutely fantastic. I don't know if it's the shape that makes it so fab, but I can literally press and press and press, and I think because it's fluffy, it catches those like sort of floaty bits, so to speak. If I went in with a flatter brush that wasn't as fluffy, as soon as I tapped my brush into that pigment, it would fly everywhere. So this is just really good because these hairs, it's so fluffy that it traps, it seems to trap your product. So once you press it on your eye, that all goes onto your eye instead of flying off into the air while you're transferring it from the pot to your face. I was going to talk you through my like flat brushes that I use for applying like my shimmers and stuff like that, but honestly, I use any sort of flat brush. I sort of swear by this one, which is some old scratty Jack Wills gift set brush that honestly sort of feels like that nasty doorstep, like it's that colour is the doorstep, that sort of horrible one that you wipe your feet on as you walk in. It feels like that, and you know, sometimes it's actually kind of spiky, and if I get my eyelid with that the wrong way, it does kind of hurt, but you know what? I've never come across a better brush for applying shimmers, but how am I supposed to tell you to get a hold of this? I am not. And then the other one that I sort of use is, it's just anything that looks like this, honestly. When you see it, you'll know. Anything that is sort of like fluffy but flat. As I said with the Peaches and Cream one that I use for the pigment, it sort of traps. You can really get your brush in there, it'll trap the shimmer, and as you like place it and swipe it onto your eye, it all transfers onto the eye. So I haven't actually got the names of any brushes or recommendations for any sorts of brushes like that, but I have told you what to look out for, so you know the shape. And then last but not least, we have the cut crease brushes. So I only have two, because I only really swear by two. So the first one is the NYX 14 brush, and it is a sharp, curved, flat brush. This sort of shape is absolutely fantastic for cutting the crease, because once I've swiped my Plouise base on there, that then becomes like a template for where I'm putting that cut crease, because I can stamp, I'll turn it, and I'll stamp, and I'll turn it, and I'll stamp, and it gives that fantastic sharp shape. I don't swipe Because when you swipe, you can literally go wrong like so much. Whereas if you have this sharp edge here that is already curved, you can literally just go in and change the angle in which you press in, so it is fantastic. And then we have the holy grail of cut crease brushes, in my opinion. This is the Sigma Cut Crease E62 brush. The shape of this is absolutely fantastic. You want to cut under the brows? Check. You want to cut the crease? Check. It is absolutely amazing. This sort of curve is fantastic. If you ever see on Instagram how people get that absolutely brilliant curve of the eye that is sort of this shape, to get that perfect like oval shape, honestly, it must be this. It must be that. As you tap in there, that is the shape that you get. So honestly, mind blown. You can pack your Plouise base on this, and if I want to do a really curved, literally, again, as I say, it's all about the angles. I can stamp it on, so I'll stamp and stamp and stamp and stamp, and it will be a perfect curve. If you want the oval, like I've just said, you can stamp and stamp and stamp. You've got the oval. It's just absolutely fantastic. I cannot recommend this brush enough. So guys, that is it from me. There are all my favourite brushes. So I hope you've enjoyed this little get in the know sesh. Let me know what you think. Do you have any favourite brushes that I need to try? Can I get some more favourites? Because we love to know. But yes, thank you for watching, guys. If you've enjoyed this video, please do give it a like, comment, subscribe if you really want to. It is this sort of thing literally all the time. I'm sorry. But yes, stay safe, guys, stay well, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.